Hi everyone! So this video is going to go through the 5B1 text and then also the worksheet that you did over the weekend, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. At the same time, Lentulus, at Rome, just as Catiline had instructed, whichever men he was believing to be suitable for revolution, either through himself or through others, he was stirring up. Therefore, he gives business to a certain Publius Umbrenus, so that he seek out the legates of the Allobroges, and he impel them to the partnership in war. Indeed, Lentulus was knowing that the Allobroges were oppressed publicly and privately by debt, ire alieno, and he was also knowing that they were a warlike tribe, warlike Gallic tribe by nature, natura. Therefore, he was judging that they were going to be, foriut, easily led to such a conspiracy, or such a plan, concilium. Umbrenus, because he had done business in Gaul, pluperfect, he was known to several leaders of the states, and he knew them. You see, notus erat and noverat are both pluperfect, but you translate them as imperfect because the perfect of novo, I believe it is actually the present tense. So the perfect means know, and then the pluperfect means was knowing or knew in the past tense. Okay. Thus, without delay, as soon as he had spied the legates in the forum, he asked a few things about the state of the state, my favorite sentence, and about the wretched fortune of them. After he was seeing those men that they complained, so here we have an indirect statement, he was seeing that those men, illos queri, complained about the greed of the magistrates, that they accused the Senate because there was nothing of help in it, so there was nothing of help in the Senate, that they were expecting death as a remedy for their miseries. He says, in quit, "But I, for you, if only you wish to be men, I will show a method by which you may flee such great evils of yours." When he said these things, the Allobroges, having been led into greatest hope, maximum spem, they were begging, orare. You'll note in your notes on the side here, orare is listed as a historic infinitive, so they were begging Umbrenus that he pity them, indirect command, you beg someone to do something. And they were also begging or saying that nothing was so difficult which they were not about to do, in order that they might free the state from bronze. So they might free is a purpose clause. Or actually, sorry, it's a result clause with Tom in the beginning part. So, that man led them through into a certain house, quondam domum, which was near to the forum. Furthermore, he summoned Gabinius so that there might be greater authority to the conversation, and so that he might persuade them more easily. Facilius, comparative adverb. With Gabinius present, ablative absolute, he lays out the conspiracy. He names the companions. Furthermore, he names, again, nomina is implied here, many innocent men, so that the spirit might be greater for the legates. He persuaded them that they promise their service. Then he sent them home. He sent them to their own home, summum duum, having promised work. Okay, I'm going to pause here because it's getting loud. Okay, so now we're going to go through the worksheet and make sure you understood all of the grammatical points. So, first question, why is istem temporis ablative? Well, if you look at the words that are involved, it is istem, same, and then temporibus, times. So, because it has a time word in it, chances are pretty good that it's going to be an ablative of time. So then you look at the sentence and you see that it's Lentulus at the same time and then whatever he was doing. So that really just should hopefully make intuitive sense. But if you want to look through your other options, you have the ablative absolute. We don't have a participle here, so it's probably not that one. Ablative of agent, you would need some sort of a or ab, and usually that involves a person, and time is not a person, so you can get rid of that one. And lastly, means. You don't really do anything by means of time. There are situations where that might work, but here there's no passive verb that you could use in ablative of means, so time is your best bet for sure. Okay, number 2, why is esse infinitive? So look down, blah, blah, you see credebat, quoscumque esse idonios. So he was believing whatever men to be suitable. So credebat sets up indirect statement. So here we would want indirect statement as our infinitive. Dependent on the main verb, credebat doesn't really take an infinitive. It usually takes an indirect statement, and it's not historical because there are definitely main verbs in that sentence. So definitely indirect statement. What number and case is quidam? So remember, quidam declines just like qui qui quad. So qui in qui qui quad is always the dative singular for every gender regardless. So if you have qui, it must be dative singular. And indeed, it is dative singular here. Okay, what gender, number, and case is allobrogum? So you would have to look and see what declension allobroges is, and it is third masculine plural. It's always plural because it's talking about a group of people. So here, you already know that it's masculine plural always, so you can just fill that in. So you only need to figure out the case. And the case here, if you have a um in the third declension, is genitive plural. So genitive plural masculine. Then we move on to number 5. What is the person, number, tense, voice, and mood of requirat? So if you look at your text, you go through until you get to requirat, which is in line, 4th line down, so 62. And you determine what conjugation requirat is. It's in your vocab list as third conjugation. So first you can determine person and number pretty easily just by looking at the ending. So your ending is a T, OST, third person singular, as most of the verbs we deal with are. So third person singular. Then the tense, a little bit harder to determine perhaps. So you look at what principal part it is. Requiro is the first principal part, so you could guess present, future, or imperfect. Those all come from the first principal part. Here, it's probably not imperfect because we don't have any bomb, ba, spot, anything like that, so you can get rid of that option. Then you have future and you have present tense. So to determine which one it is, you have to look at that vowel. So you have requirat here, and remember, if it was present indicative, you'd have requirit with an IT. If it was future indicative, you'd have requiret with an ET, but here we have an AT, so it can't be indicative, present, or future. So the only other option is present subjunctive, and we know from the we fear a liar that third conjugation has an A in the present subjunctive, and that's what it is here. So we have third person singular, present subjunctive, and what is our last option? Ooh, voice. So this one is active. If it was passive, it would have tor at the end instead of just a t. Okay. What is the subject of skiebat, you might ask? So, looking through the sentence, we have nothing in the nominative before skiebat. Everything is dative or accusative, genitive, so nothing helps us before skiebat. But if you look 2 words after skiebat, you get to Lentulus, who is in the nominative. So therefore, Lentulus must be the subject of skiebat because he's in the nominative. So Lentulus was knowing, and that is what we need here. So Lentulus is the subject. Then we get to what gender, number, and case is the infinitive oppressus esse. So skim down. And oppressos ends in a long OS. So you have to determine gender, number, and case from that ending, which is an adjective ending. So OS must be masculine accusative plural. That's the only OS ending we know. So masculine accusative plural, and it's an infinitive. But here, what is it agreeing with? So you look through the rest of the sentence for another masculine accusative plural. The only one we have in the whole rest of the sentence is allobroges. So Lentulus was knowing that the allobroges were oppressed by debt. So allobroges and oppressos agree, both masculine, plural, accusative. Great. Moving on to number 8. What is the person, number, tense, voice, and mood of adducerentur? So, first things first, we figure out person, number from the ending. So we have ntur, N-T-U-R. That N-T indicates that it's third person plural. If it was third person singular, it would be tur, just T-U-R, but that N-T-U-R indicates third person plural. And it also indicates that it's a passive verb, because if it was active, we'd just have NT. So we know that it is passive, because it's not deponent. We know that it is third person, and it is plural. So now we just need the tense and mood. So when you look at adducerentur, hopefully you think, that has an RE in the middle. Perhaps part of an infinitive? And indeed, you are correct. It does come from the infinitive form adducere, and then you add on your ending. So if you have an infinitive form with a definite ending, then you know it has to be that imperfect subjunctive, which has the infinitive form and then the ending. So we now know that it is third person, plural, imperfect, subjunctive, and passive. Excellent. So, why are statu and kasu ablative? Perhaps we should take a look. So, in line 67 through 68, we have rogavit pauca de statu, civitatis et misero eius, and then kasu. So, we have some options. The 3 I listed for you. Oh my gosh, it's getting loud again. Okay, I'm going to need to pause again. Sorry. Okay, it seems like the noise has ended temporarily, so let's see if we can get through the rest of this. So, statu and kasu. So our options that I gave you are separation, prepositional phrase, or agent. So, ablative of agent always has that a or ab plus a person. Here, state and misfortune or fortune, kasu, are not person, and we don't have a or ab, so we can cross out agent. So that leaves us with separation or prepositional phrase. Usually ablative of separation is used when you're moving away from something, like I go away from Rome, Roma in the ablative, or perhaps if you're born from someone, that would be a type of ablative of separation. But here we don't have any of that, so we can cross out those two, and that leaves us with prepositional phrase. So for a prepositional phrase to work, you need a preposition. So you can look back at your text and you see that you have de before statu, and that corresponds with kasu as well. So de statu, about the state. So we do indeed have a prepositional phrase. You can check that and be happy. Okay, we're gonna need to pause again, sorry. Okay, so what is the person, number, tense, voice, and mood of effugiates? So you have that TIS at the ending, which indicates person and number. So it is second person plural. So you have OST mustis, this is the tis. So second person plural. And then tense and mood, you can figure out from my note, which says pay attention to the IA before the ending. And hopefully you recall that from we fear a liar, IA indicates subjunctive present tense. So we have second person plural, present, subjunctive, and the voice is active. If it was passive, you'd have mini, but here we have tis, which is the active ending. So there we go. Okay, why is spem accusative in line 72? So looking to 72, we have the allobroges adducti in maximum spem, having been led into greatest hope. So is it the subject of the sentence? Definitely not. It's not the nominative, and there's no infinitive that it could be the subject of, so you can cross that one out. Is it the direct object of Dixit? No, it's not. First of all, hike is the direct object of Dixit. Second of all, they're pretty far apart, so it's more likely that it would be subject of, or the object of something else, but it's not here because we have in maximum spem, and in is a preposition which takes an accusative, and so here we have a prepositional phrase, into greatest hope. So, prepositional phrase, B. What is the gender, number, case, tense, and voice of adducti? Great question. So here we have a long I at the end, our adjective ending. So we have to figure out what gender, number, and case that is. So we have some options. It could be masculine singular genitive or nominative singular genitive, or it could be masculine plural nominative. So the way to tell which of those it is to look around in the sentence and figure out what agrees with that participle. So we don't have any neuter or masculine genitive singulars in the sentence, but we do have allobroges, which is a masculine nominative plural, so it must be that. So here we have masculine nominative plural, and then we have to figure out tense and voice. So to do that, we determine what principal part adducti is from. It's from duco, ducra, duxi, ductus. So ductus is that fourth principal part, adductus here. So it must be the perfect passive participle from that fourth principal part. And indeed it is. So perfect passive masculine nominative plural. Okay. What type of subjunctive clause is ut miserator? So we go to ut miserator, and then we have orare umbrenum ut sui miserator. So I did mention this a little bit in the translation, but just to recap, if you beg someone to do something, that is a type of indirect command. So here, they beg Umbrenus to pity them, or that he pity them. So that is indirect command. Okay, then we go to what is the person, number, tense, voice, and mood of liberarent. So first you look at your ending, NT, third person plural, and then you have to determine the tense, voice, and mood. Voice is active because we'd have untor as we had earlier if it was passive. So it's definitely active. Tense and mood, you look at what principal part it comes from. Liberare is the infinitive, so second principal part. If it's from the infinitive, second principal part, and it has an ending, it has to be the imperfect subjunctive. So here we have third person, plural, imperfect subjunctive, and active. All right. Our last two, what type of subjunctive clause is ut policarentur. So we find that right here. Okay, so he persuaded them, persuasit eius ut operam policarentur. So if you persuade someone to do something, again, that's an indirect command. You persuade them to whatever. So here again, indirect command. Lastly, what is the gender, number, case, tense, and voice of polikitos? So gender, number, and case. We have another OS like we had up above with, I don't remember quite where it was, but OS, always masculine, accusative, plural. So that's what it must be here as well. And the tense and voice, this is where it gets a little bit trickier. So again, it's from the third principal part here because we have a deponent verb, so it must be perfect. But because it's from a deponent verb, it cannot be passive, it must be active. So here we have a perfect active participle, third person, masculine, plural, accusative. So you can also decide that it's active based on the meaning, they having promised their own work instead of they having been promised their work. Okay, great. Alright, so that's how the passage goes. If you have any questions, again, please let me know. Even if you just have questions about context, wanting to learn more about the Gauls, I'm very happy to explain it to you. So, I will see you all next week, or Friday. Have a great Wednesday, and I'll talk to you later.